Back on the right stand, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just gotten colder in the last 20 odd minutes that I had to get the jacket out here in Jaisalmer. That's where I am, ladies and gentlemen. But let's put the focus spotlight on the Pfizer CEO, who quite literally was tongue-tied. This was when questioned on vaccine efficacy, and there was a response that came from the Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekharji on Pfizer's intended vaccine bullying. Remember the time during COVID when everybody was searching for a vaccine? There were those who were creating doubts on Covaxin, on Covishield, and then they were saying, why aren't you getting Pfizer in? Why aren't you bringing in the Pfizer vaccine? And India put its foot down and said, no, Pfizer is asking for indemnity clauses. Pfizer is asking for too many terms, setting too many terms for making the vaccine available, and at costs that would have been prohibitive for the ordinary Indian. Eventually, what played out is a different story in itself. The vaccine efficacy of India manufactured vaccines have been far greater and far higher and far better than that manufactured by some of the big pharma, including Pfizer. So does this all now stand exposed? Will those vaccine deniers, Bharat's vaccine deniers, those who are talking about our big pharma backers now apologize? Of course, there's politics around that too. But first, this is what the Pfizer CEO, Mr. Borla, had to say.
I mean, we now know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission, but why did you keep it secret? You said it was 100% effective, then 90%, then 80%, then 70%. But we now know that the vaccines do not stop transmission. Why did you keep that secret?
Have a nice day.
Is it time to apologise to the world, sir? To give refunds back to the countries that poured all their money into your vaccine that doesn't work, your ineffective vaccine?
Yeah, you have a little bit around.
Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years?
What do you have to say about young men dropping dead of heart attacks every day? Why won't you answer these basic questions?
Shame on you, sir.
Shame on you.
There are many nations, ladies and gentlemen, and there are many reports. Some of these reports are really worrying. There are also reports, and that's there on Twitter files also, that put out details which said that this kind of big pharma spent millions of dollars trying to smother any negative campaign. There are others who have said that this has had very adverse effect on especially pregnant women. There have been tons of cases, lots of lives that have been lost across various nations. These stories have been suppressed. But those who backed this big pharma today are quiet. Should they not be called out? Will they alter? Will they stand up and say, yes, we made a mistake? No, we were motivated. However, let's ask our guest this evening. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman, Nephron Clinic, should be joining us in a bit, but we have with us Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow of ORF, George Korean, Political Analyst, and Sanju Verma, BJP National Spokesperson, who stays on with us through Debate 1 into Debate 2 on this edition of The Right Stand. George Korean, is it wrong to ask those big pharma backers? There are a lot of people who may now want to delete those tweets, those posts on Facebook, etc. But we know who they are.
Well, not really. Looking at the situation back then, when COVID had just got into India, so it was, as an opposition party, the Congress party took the lead in questioning the government. Why aren't they, getting in foreign vaccines into India so that the population could be managed and faster vaccines could be administered. Having said that, Pfizer CEO being confronted by the journalist and, he's not answering to his question, that is his prerogative. He's free to do that. If you cannot just put that into a perspective where you question Pfizer's efficacy or, the genuineness of the vaccine, because it has been used all over the world. By putting it across his, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, in the last 8 years, how many press conferences has Mr. Modi or he has answered the press? No journalist can even reach even closer to Modi because he's surrounded with four-layered security.
No, so what's the point that you're trying to make? Sanju Verma, would you want to respond?
The point I'm trying to make is, Anand, that the vaccines made in India has efficacy or not. It is too early to even come to that conclusion, because we are hearing cases of heart ailments and things like that. And just to corner the Pfizer CEO at this point in time, with respect to his vaccine, is not right. Is what I'm trying to make it across to your audience. Yeah.
Anand?
No, but is it? Can you believe your own argument, Mr. Kurian? I'm quite shocked and surprised. Look at the world over data of the efficacy of Covishield and Covaxin. They are far better than Pfizer. The number of cases, number of nations that have suffered, and had that happened in India, would that not have that? What would have been the case then? The same people who would have called for Pfizer would have turned around and said, you brought Pfizer, so you are responsible, and then they would have held the government responsible. And would you want Pfizer to be indemnified? You would have said, take Pfizer to the court. But Pfizer said you have to sign an indemnity bond. Would you agree to it? Would you agree to sign an indemnity bond with a vaccine manufacturer saying that you indemnify them from any loss of life or anything that goes wrong with the vaccine? Would you do it?
Well, Anand, with respect to indemnity, the government of India has taken the right stand. I don't deny that fact. But having said that, the Covishield has been manufactured by Serum Institute in India. The research and the formula comes from AstraZeneca, and Bharat Biotech has manufactured Covaxin. So having said that, it's too early to come to a conclusion and give a certification. Self-certification is what I'm trying to say.
Sir, you look at multiple papers that have been put on Covaxin. The efficacy of Covaxin, and especially after the booster dose, is far greater. The two doses itself. Why should we put down what vaccine that are manufactured in our country just because you believe it is politically backed by somebody we are politically opposed to? I can't believe this. It's our vaccine, sir. It's our vaccine which is proven more efficient than most of the vaccines in the world. We should be proud of it, irrespective of who did it. It's our scientists.
We are proud of Bharat Biotech.
I respect your point of view. Yeah, I respect your point. Why deny Bharat Biotech their credit?
Bharat Biotech, for that matter, or Serum Institute has taken with respect to see the heart ailments that are coming in news in public domain. Have they taken which kind of vaccine? Have they administered themselves?
Sir,
with?
Please present. No. See, this what you're doing right now. This what you're doing right now are just drawing conclusions based on hearsay. Give me one medical report, one paper, one concrete person, doctor, scientist who can say, I can confirm to you this is because of the COVID vaccine. It's all suppositions. Just like it was suppositions at that point in time that ये vaccine लगाने से वो हो जाएगा, वो vaccine लगाने से ये हो जाएगा, etc., and pushing vaccine hesitancy. Is this not irresponsible behavior towards the people of the country itself, who the Congress party is working hard to unite and bring together because you feel it is disjointed? But every utterance of yours is trying to split them further, break them down at all parameters. 1 minute. Yes, Sanju Verma, please respond.
Has the Serum Institute of Bharat Biotech done research?
The Congress.
No, sir. The story tonight is not Serum Institute. 1 minute, Sanju. The story tonight is not Serum Institute or Bharat Biotech. What they have done is phenomenal. For them to come out and give these vaccines at prices which can be afforded by the common man, and prices which the government with taxpayers' money can afford to fund, is itself human service, sir. Look at the cost of a Pfizer vaccine. How Pfizer has tried to milk and make billions out of a pandemic. And how humanity has suffered because those vaccines are not good vaccines, sir. Let's go after such people rather than try and give them cover fire. Let Sanju Verma come in. Yes, Sanju Verma.
Okay. Anand, I just want to take, the Congress spokesperson and your audience back to April 2021. There were 3 tweets put up, one by Jairam Ramesh, one by Manish Tiwari, and one by Shashi Tharoor. And all the 3 had similar content. The content was, the Modi government is setting a dangerous precedent by giving approval to Covaxin. We need to be on guard. the Modi government in desperation is treating Indians like guinea pigs. I mean, what could be more defamatory than these tweets which actually ran down Krishna Alla's biotech, ran down Covaxin, which actually saved millions of lives back home, not only in India but abroad as well. Now, coming to the moot point, the discussion today is not about the efficacy of Covaxin or Covishield or Corbevax, which has been proven beyond doubt. We can sit here and argue till the cows come home. But I think Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, Bill Gates, for whatever his comments are worth, Geeta Gopinath of the IMF, David Malpass of the World Bank, and Kristalina Georgieva, the head of IMF, have spoken in one voice that the only reason for India's brilliant V-shaped recovery far ahead of global peers is because of the stupendous manner in which India, under the aegis of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, managed the pandemic. Though, of course, we did have our highs and lows. Nobody's, discounting that. I want to also read out a tweet by P. Chidambaram, and I think this captures the essence of what Rajiv Chandrasekhar said about the Modi administration being bullied. But they should know better than that, because Modi is not somebody whom you can bully. Chidambaram writes in a tweet on 27th December 2021, people are surprised that only 3 vaccines have been made available in India: Covishield, Covaxin and Sputnik. Of the 3, you can write off Sputnik because only a small quantity was imported in the initial days. I fail to understand why are we not importing Pfizer in large quantities. It could not have been more, forthright than this. I mean, Chidambaram was basically peddling Pfizer's cause. And let's be very clear, if you look at how Albert Bowler, you can say he was ambushed by those 2 journalists, but when he was asked, do you agree that your product is faulty? He kept quiet. Do you agree you've indulged in deceptive marketing? He was quiet. Do you agree that you paid $2.3 billion in commissions to brokers? Are you going to have to pay that kind of money again because of the rising number of deaths? He was again quiet. So I think he was not ambushed. He was exposed for what he is and for what Big Pharma is all about. Though I don't want to rubbish entire Big Pharma.
Also quiet for last 8 years.
I did not interrupt you, so please hold your horses. Please hold your horses. I did not heckle you. Anand, I'll take 10 seconds. I think from 2 laboratories to having more than 2,000 testing laboratories, from less than 10,000 ventilators after more than 70 years of independence to having more than 50,000 ventilators. I think the Modi government actually started from scratch and engaged in the world's largest vaccination drive.
It's not about. You have written about it, everybody has spoken about it, but the larger question is this Big Pharma lobby needs to be called out, and especially the organizations who are trying to bully nations into submission, into also giving them indemnity and so much more. There are other nations across the world and other continents who have come out and claimed that they wanted to set up their facility in their army area, in their barracks, and they wanted access, unbridled access to their defense facilities so that they could, and that's the kind of conditions that were being put in some of the nations who were in a far more desperate situation than Bharat. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is with us, and we also have Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, you are one of the few people who have also called out this Big Pharma in the past, so I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so, Anand, we are not discussing how well India did during the COVID pandemic, and I think we did an excellent job. Yes, there were some gaps, but there have been gaps everywhere. Do you know how many people have died in the US over the last couple of weeks on a weekly basis? Over 3,000 people. How many people are dying in India of COVID? Virtually nothing. Now, the Congress spokesperson, will pick up an isolated case, and in any vaccine, even the safest of vaccines, so-called safest of vaccines, there will be, the odd case of somebody just dropping dead, somebody, reacting adversely to a particular vaccine. That will happen. But if you look at the total numbers, I think an overwhelming, I think almost 99.99% cases, there have been virtually no after effect. So clearly the vaccines which we administered to our people worked, number one. Number two, what was more galling was not that, somebody was asking for an indemnity or not indemnity. It was the way, the kind of lobbying, and it was hysterical lobbying, which was being carried out on the behalf of Pfizer and some of these other companies, so that they get an entry into the Indian market without any regard to the fact that just to administer the Pfizer vaccine required a kind of a cold chain which would raise the price of that vaccine to a point where India would have gone bankrupt. So for people to keep plugging for the Pfizer vaccine, obviously there was something else at work. And it was not good intentions, it was probably greenbacks. So yes, that's the way Big Pharma works. But Big Pharma was working in conjunction and in collaboration with American authorities and with many of these Western countries, which deliberately, were pushing for the Pfizer vaccine, which had very questionable antecedents and very questionable technology, if you can call it that.
Right. No, fair point made, but then Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, then those doctors who are trying to peddle the Pfizer vaccine and that format of the vaccine compared to Covishield and Covaxin, should they not also be pulled up and seen whether or not they have been influenced by the Big Pharma? Because what they were also doing was not service to society.
Good evening. Good evening, Anand. My apologies for joining in a little late. Just cutting the chase, coming to the point, I think both the vaccines used in India, the Covaxin and the Covishield, have stood the test of time and have delivered. They had an initial efficacy which fell a little bit because of the new strains of Omicron, but the overall penetration of the vaccine, the campaign which was the fastest, the safest and the most precision driven, is full compliments to the Indian government, to the Indian researchers and to the medical community. With regards to the mRNA vaccines have also done well internationally, but the logistic dilemma of the cold chain storage of sub-freezing temperatures and commercial chillers would have pushed the cost of the vaccine into something which was out of reach even for an affluent person in India. Point number 3 is, when you have the Indian vaccines available, why would you like something to come in from outside? It defies logic. At the present moment, India still has perhaps the lowest case fatality load in the last 3 years, cumulative data, as compared to the Western countries, 1/10. If you talk in terms of the side effects, both the vaccines used in India have approximately 1/30th the side effects, including myocarditis or in fact thromboembolic phenomena. There is no pandemic in the world's history which sees no death. Yes, we've seen deaths. It has been extremely painful to see blood, tears and seeing patients dying in front of you. But that's the nature of the pandemic. We have been able to cut our losses within the limited infrastructure. I must put on record that we have done exceedingly well, but we must keep our guard up, push for the boosters, be careful not to attend close gatherings and always wear a mask.
The other point, Dr. Bagai, should India have blinked when such big pharma were asking for indemnity?
No, I think any country like India would think of India first, for Indians first. We have to think of our own interests. If an international product such as a vaccine is coming in, or a pharma company or a drug manufacturer, they have to be held accountable. You can't provide medicines or vaccines without any legal implications. They should have been bold enough to say so, and I think India was strong enough to deny them this. And we have our 2 vaccines in India, which have almost a 90% penetration in the adult eligible population.
Anand, can I make a quick
Sushant Sareen, I have limited time, so yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so Anand, I think when you ask this question, whether we should have accepted or we did the right thing by not, falling for the blackmail, one of the reasons we were able to avoid that blackmail was what is now called Atmanirbhar Bharat. The fact that you were manufacturing your own vaccines, the fact that you had a base from where you could manufacture these vaccines, and you had a fabulous company like Bharat Biotech to manufacture an indigenous vaccine in record time and manufacture it in numbers that we needed it, meant that we could resist the blackmailing tactics of Big Pharma. So I think you need to give the credit, and I keep saying it, and I'll say it again on your channel. The two people who actually deserve Bharat Ratna are the Bharat Biotech CEO and the Serum Institute of India CEO. These are the people who actually deserve Bharat Ratna.
Well said. Yes, final 20 seconds, and I'll give it to you, George, and I'll wind up after that.
Well, Anand, I don't want to take away any credit from Bharat Biotech or Serum Institute. Having said that, I just want to put it across to Sanju Verma that Congress leaders may have in the past questioned why the government not importing foreign vaccines like this one.
No, so then they should not say that it's a lie. They should not say it is Canada. I'm running out of time. No, was the no? We'll debate on the intent too. I've run out of time very soon. Thank you very much. Zakir Reddy with Brass Tacks.